of the DMT inside the body, right? Same thing with other molecules inside of our body too. They last a certain amount of time. So our GLP-1, which is naturally secreted in our intestines, right, only lasts just under 2 minutes.
Wow.
2 minutes. So we eat food, goes through our stomach. Let me back up just so people can understand digestion real quick. So digestion starts before you even eat. Because if somebody says your favorite meal, you visualize it, your mouth start watering.
That's deep.
Right?
You start craving it.
You start craving it, right?
That's
All
right.
of this is happening in your head.
Jeez,
your
that's
hypothalamus, your brain stem, certain parts of your brain starts getting everything going. You start to salivate, right?
Wow.
Okay, so you chew your food, you masticate. That's grinding the food to increase surface area so that the saliva has enzymes in it that can touch all parts of the food. If you look at an apple, it's all closed in, but when you chew it up, you open the apple up and everything's exposed. So now the enzymes in your saliva can now interact with all the parts of the apple. Now you have a ball of saliva and enzymes and the masticated food. That's called a bolus.
Wow.
Gets to the back of the throat, you swallow, peristalsis down the esophagus, okay? When you choke, it's because you got a flap over your trachea, your windpipe called the epiglottis. This prevents food from going in. This is why your parents was like, don't talk when you eat. Because when you talk, the epiglottis pops up, food can go in, you start choking.
Wow.
So it goes down the esophagus. Peristalsis is a wave-like motion. As it goes down through this wave-like motion, it courses through the cardiac sphincter. It's called the cardiac sphincter because your stomach is not down here. It's up here by the heart. This is why when you get indigestion,
heartburn.
They call it heartburn.
Yeah.
Right?
Old commercial, heartburn,
because
indigestion.
it's the gastric juices of the stomach backpedaling through the cardiac sphincter back into the esophagus.
Jeez. Wow.
Right? And the esophagus is lined with a mucus lining to prevent the surface of your esophagus from getting damaged by any reason, but that acid coming back in can, and that's what you feel, right? So it goes to the cardiac sphincter, goes in the stomach. The stomach has muscles that go up and down, left and right, and like diagonal. So it's kind of like how old school mama used to do the laundry with the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She'd rub it on the thing and squeeze it this way and turn. You doing that, and you're mixing hydrochloric acid, which got like an acidity of a 2, gastric juices, pepsin. Pepsin is the reason why Pepsi's called Pepsi.
Just about to ask you that. We're on the same wave.
Yeah, because if you look at the Pepsi logo, the Pepsi logo is 2 colors. Red and blue, and the negative space, that little white strip, that's the stomach.
Wow.
If you look at it again, look, that's a stomach. Wow. And the red and blue stands for acid and alkaline.
Break it down. Wow.
Right? So pepsin is a product that's also produced inside the stomach in a form called pepsinogen. And then through the acidity of the stomach, it activates it into pepsin. So you got all these juices in there. This is like fabric softener, bleach, laundry. You know, mama puts a bunch of stuff in the laundry to clean it.
To make
you know
it
what
smell
I'm saying?
good. Yeah.
So now, once the food gets mixed with all these juices, now it's opened up more. It goes to the pyloric sphincter, and now it enters into the small intestines. Small intestines is broken up into 3 parts. You got the duodenum, you got the jejunum, and then you got the ileum. Each part does something different. But initially what happens as all this food starts emptying into the intestines, you are spraying it with alkaline enzymes and juices to alkalize everything because it just came from an acid environment.
Right.
And then also molecules that are getting secreted to break proteins down to amino acids, break fats down into lipids and fatty acids, and break starches and sugars down into more simple sugars and carbohydrates. This is due to the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. They all combine at the common bile duct and they empty into the small intestines, and now you're breaking all of this stuff down.
Wow.
then it moves through the jejunum, and it moves through the ileum, and then it goes through another opening called the ileocecal valve into the large intestines. So now you're in the large intestines, and then you go ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, anus, toilet bowl.
Yep, outside. That's it.
Now you see that process
Jeez.
food just had to go through?
Wow.
GLP-1 doesn't get introduced until that food enters into the small intestines. And it's a little bit increased through each section. The duodenum is a little bit. The jejunum, there's even more. The ileum is where there's a lot. But like I told you, it's a 2-minute half-life.
Wow.
Right? So it doesn't last long. And what is it there for? It's there to create a sensation called satiation, which is being satisfied. So it shuts down wanting to eat more because, you know, you got a kid, they just ate their food, they just swallowed, they bodied it like Pac-Man. They're like, I want more. And usually a parent would be like, just let it go down.
Yeah. Wow.
And 5 minutes later, they like, okay, I'm good.
Start to get the itis a little
That's
bit.
GLP-1 doing all of that, right? Now, let's go back to Extendin 4. Extendin 4 half-life is 2 hours.
Wow.
So we went from 2 minutes, just under 120 seconds, to 120 minutes. That's a huge difference in time,
for sure.
right? So then on top of that, Novo Nordisk decided to extend it longer. And they came up with something right before Ozempic. I think it's called liraglutide. This one is semaglutide, and before it was like liraglutide. The one before Ozempic was daily. So it would last a day.
Wow.
So you would have to take the shot once a day.
Jeez.
Right? Then they figured out how to turn it weekly. So now it's once a week indefinitely. And how they did this is they took the molecule and they added fatty acids on there. And the fatty acids is what prevents the enzymes from being able to break it down.
Wow.
The enzyme in question is called DPP4, dipeptidyl peptidase, which is it's an enzyme that breaks down the GLP-1 within those 2 minutes. So if you inhibit DPP4, then it's going to last longer.
Wow.
So they figured out a way to prevent the enzymes from attacking it, and they were able to slow it down to a point of like 160 plus hours, which is equated to like a week's time.
Sheesh. Wow. That was some great information right there. I love this. I love this. So time, right?
Okay.
Our society, KT, everybody's trying to cut out like the actual work, the process, if you will, right? Shortcuts. That's it, right? So whether it's, you know, we were talking about it earlier, BBL Drizzy with Drake sometimes. So people try to get fake abs or, you know, like I ain't going to the gym.
Man,
I ain't working. I'm going to do that. Ozempic, do you feel like that this is it's like perfect climate to actually take form? Because right now everybody's trying to do a shortcut. Nobody wants to go to the gym. Nobody wants to eat right.
Well, it would be if it didn't come with issues and problems.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, of course we're in a microwave time where everybody wants to get something done faster. Yet we can all relate that the greatest moments in life that we experience are when we take our time to experience it.
That's right.
Right? There's no getting around hard, diligent work at all. Every shortcut you take is going to always come with a cost. If you skip paying now, you're going to pay later.
Wow.
So you might as well just pay now. Like I've learned that about money. Like we hold on to cash.
Yeah.
But money's called currency.
Yes. So it has to keep moving.
It has to. What happens when you just hold up current? You dam water up, you flood.
That's right.
Everything gets soaked. Everything gets destroyed. You're having a fear of lack. So just spend it. Just splurge. Just it could be on good things. It could be on bad. It could be on whatever. Just get it out, because
have to get that fear out.
You can't ask for seconds if you ain't finished your first plate. Just let that thing go. So we have to work for it, and we're not working for it. So essentially, some of the side effects are just very, very bad.
Yeah.
And one of the main side effects that we have to deal with Ozempic is something called gastroparesis. Gastroparesis. This is a fancy way of saying paralysis of the stomach.
Wow.
Because, like I mentioned before, GLP-1 is responsible for appetite suppressant, right? It's suppressing your appetite. Part of suppressing your appetite is stopping the emptying of the stomach, because if you are allowing the stomach to do its thing, appetite is going to continue. But if you shut the stomach down, then you're not going to be hungry no more. So that's what GLP-1 does. But remember, it only has a 2-minute life, right? So in putting a GLP-1 agonist, meaning a molecule that's not GLP-1, it could just plug into the receptor. Okay. And let me give you an analogy of that. You got somebody that lives in a condo. Only people that live there can park in the parking spots, right?
Yeah.
If you park in that parking spot and you don't live in that condo, you're getting towed away.
Facts.
It's going to the impound.
You don't
right?
belong. Yeah.
Right. Unless, you had a friend come over. They get a little pass, they can be in there.
For sure.
So a pass is an agonist. They're not necessarily the tenant of that condo, but they're associated with the tenant and they have a pass to sit in that spot.
Wow.
Right? If it's somebody else trying to come up in there, it's going to get towed away. It ain't even going to be able to fit in the spot before it gets impounded. Right? So these are agonists. These are just molecules that are able to manipulate the receptors to get these things going. But our receptor is very short. It's only 2 minutes. This one is a week long. So it's going to aggressively shut things down. And one of the things that it's going to do is shut the stomach down. Now you don't even have an appetite, or you don't even have the muscles or the processes to break the food down that's in there. So what a lot of people have been dealing with Ozempic is something called cyclic vomiting. They just been throwing up. Even the people who stopped years ago are still vomiting.
Wow.
Because it's affecting a very important nerve in the body. And even though you stop taking it, the remnants of it is still inside of the system.
Sheesh, man. Ozempic, big pharma, right, is big business. We've seen this with oxycodone as well, where, they start something and it just booms. In Denmark right now, Ozempic is like their number one cash cow, right?
Oh, yeah.
So just seeing that it has like that overall impact. Do you see this product going down, or do you see it just constantly just being like more profitable for them right now?
Oh, definitely more profitable. They don't even allow it in Denmark.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. They don't allow it in Denmark. Their number one customer is the USA.
Yeah.
And that's because the USA obesity rate is about 50%. JP Morgan just did an analysis on the stock market for the next, I think, 10 years or something like that, showing the pretty much diagonal uprise of obesity as well as diabetes. Yeah. And we have to understand that this is not by any coincidence, because this diabetes explosion is a byproduct of COVID.
Sheesh.
Because that's where the explosion came from. I think worldwide we're at like 569 million people with diabetes worldwide. They said before 2050, we're looking at 1.3 billion. We're talking about 10% of the planet got diabetes. So if you're making a drug that has a particular customer, it would behoove you to create your customer.
You have to.
And who better than America, because the obesity is just out of control here. And people don't want to, work hard to lose their weight. And then you got people like Oprah saying that obesity is genetic and you can't do nothing about it.
Hey, we about to talk about that one next. Yeah. Hey, you on the perfect way. We about to talk on that next. Yes. So from, just being exposed to hospitals and, always hearing people say, oh, it's genetic, right? My family, I've had family members who had diabetes. My dad has diabetes, right? But then I'm like, all you got to do is change your lifestyle, eat right, and then potentially it can change, right?
That's right.
How do you feel about in this current medical system of people always saying, especially when it comes to us black people, it's genetic when it comes to diabetes, which then leads to products like Ozempic?
Well, one of the greatest erroneous assumptions that we make as society when it comes to health is we keep focusing on the nuclear genome, which is the DNA that exists in the nucleus. And we ignore the mitochondrial DNA, which is responsible for our metabolism.
Right.
Way more important. It's only passed down through the woman, and the woman is who constantly gives birth to life, right? So we have to pay more attention to that DNA, not the nuclear DNA, because the nuclear DNA actually reacts to what's going on to the mitochondria. Okay? So however you're treating the mitochondria is going to determine how the nuclear genome expresses itself. How does the nuclear genome express itself? Real simple. It is pretty much a treasure trove of what you would call a protein data bank. Okay, all the enzymes, all the proteins, or what you would call semiconductor technology that exists in your body, all of the blueprints and the files to build those things are in the nuclear genome. But you don't know what enzyme, what protein, or whatever you need to make until your body knows what it's going through. And the only way your body knows what it's going through is based on the photosensor organelle we have, which is known as the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is responsible for sensing light. And one of the greatest molecules that we build based on sensing light is a molecule called POMC, pro-opiomelanocortin. This molecule is linked with our seasons. In the wintertime, when there's shorter light cycles, it's less POMC, it's less thyroid hormones. In the summertime, there's more POMC, there's longer light cycles, longer days, there's more thyroid hormones. So if we're getting less light, and I speak on this all the time when I come on the platform, we're getting less light, we're getting less light exposure, we got less POMC, we got less of the number one molecules that governs our metabolism, which is T3 and T4 from our thyroid gland. But T3 and T4 is only getting secreted based on the pituitary. The pituitary is only secreting it based on the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is only secreting it based on POMC. So it all goes back to the light again. So light stimulation is going to dictate this. And if we're not constantly programming our body properly with our light signals, then it's going to throw everything off. It's going to throw our hormones off, and then we're going to suffer.